Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I'm going to put on my bifocals. By means two. When my eyes get to the point that I'm ready for fully recovered after a surgery I had with my eyes, then I'll put up the money for one that combines these two. But in the meantime, this works. So stepping off the reincarnation wheel. Do we even know that we're on a reincarnation wheel?
Yes. No.
Yes. A year ago, I gave a talk here, and then I gave a 2-hour presentation that turned into much longer than that down at Rainbow Stew on past life memories. And in that research and my memories, I began to find out that it takes intention and work to step out of the reincarnation cycle. David Icke said back in 1991-92 that we live on a prison planet. And I thought, how ridiculous is that? And then Greg Braden said a few years ago, we live in a simulation. What the heck do you mean? What is a simulation? But the divine unseen that we call God is consciousness aware of itself. Ooh. And Christ consciousness is awakening to the divine within into full consciousness. The Gnostics are the ones who were called the knowing ones. And they, along with tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of others, were put to death by the Catholic Church when there was only the Catholic Church around. Because we'll find out part of why in this talk. But from that pure consciousness, great sparks of light consciousness began to coalesce. And Sophia, we've all heard the name Sophia. Most of us don't know what it means. She's effectively an earth goddess who manifested out of that universal consciousness. And then she wanted to create on her own. And she gave birth to a being called Yaldabaoth, who is known as the demiurge, but it was imperfect, and it was removed from the celestial realms because it had limited vision and did not remember or did not know that it was one with all that is. And so Yaldabaoth alone thought that he was the creator, and he created physical reality in third-dimensional world. Humans are sparks of the divine that became essentially trapped in this physical reality because we know we're so much more than the physical. So much more. And because the false God, the God that we read about in the Old Testament and the Torah, is a wrathful, angry, jealous God filled with ego, wanting absolute control, wanting blood sacrifices, wanting everyone to worship him with unquestioning obedience, or be punished forever in hell. He rules through fear. That's not the God that we know. That's not the Christ consciousness that we know. So we're taught in the Christian churches to fear God. This was one of the things that I couldn't understand when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. What do you mean? When I'm walking out in nature, I find love. I find connection. I find a oneness that I don't find anywhere else in any of these buildings, but out in nature.
Would you please talk into the microphone?
Okay.
Thank you.
So churches teach that you need priests, ministers, preachers, somebody else to intercede with God for you. And I thought, why on earth would I need anybody to intercede with God for me? I feel that presence within. I know that presence within. And how can you intercede for me when I'm already connected? I used to tell people in the Sunday services we led, you got to plug in, positive and negative poles, plugging your electric cord into God. And then the time came when I was visiting a friend and mentor who was an electrician, and I woke up the next morning realizing this is the kind of plug we need. What kind of plug is this? This is a ground plug. If we don't ground it, it's just pie in the sky by and by. We better be that we say we want to be and bring it into physical reality. But the churches teach that you need somebody else to do this for you. Plug in. So that is an inversion of Christ consciousness that Jesus, who was a pure manifestation of godliness, represented. Jesus taught love. Love your neighbor as yourself. Do good to those that hate you. Don't hold these grudges, and you don't have to fear me. And so many of his teachings were pushed out of the final Bible. If you have read the Gnostic teachings, the Gnostic Gospels, these were found in Egypt in 1947, I believe it was. And they were suppressed teachings that had not been seen in 2,000 years. And among them is the Gospel of Thomas, which comes the closest, we believe, to the actual words of Jesus. Jesus taught that we are one with the Father, the divine, as he was. He taught the kingdom of God is within. Heaven is within each and every one of us. We're not broken in need of fixing. We're not deserving of suffering if we can't do or can't meet these impossible laws that were laid out for us. That's not what Jesus taught. The true divine God of love and light does not want worship or sacrifice. It wants us to wake up and remember who we are, that each of us is one with that same pure consciousness, that Christ consciousness. Wow. And when we begin to remember that, we're not alone ever again. We're not in that place of lack ever again. Gnosis is taught by the Gnostics, the knowing ones. That's what Gnostic means, the knowing ones, is direct experience through inner experience found in meditation and prayer and spiritual practices. That experience, when you know, but you can't tell anybody how you just know that you know, and it's a fact. This is what I'm working on teaching our granddaughters now. Do you ever have a time that you know something, but you can't tell anybody how you know it? Well, yeah, I do. Good, you're on the right track. Trust it. But the church teaches blind faith, and that is the way of the false god, the demiurge god. The church works through control as opposed to liberation that Jesus showed the way forward. Gnosis, or direct knowledge, leads to Christ consciousness. Jesus' crucifixion was a projection by the false god, the demiurge, of what happens when you offend the powers on earth, the powers that should not be. We all see that around us, the powers that should not be trying to run things. And so many of us have said, no, thank you. I don't need that. I operate by a different frequency, and I'm here to spread that frequency of love and light in this world, to assist my brothers and sisters and loved ones and strangers in waking up. Some of us just plant seeds out there. Not all the seeds sprout, but some of them do. And frequently we inspire others, just like Ernest Holmes did, just like Dingley May, just like so many of the great teachers of the past have inspired and continue to inspire people to move forward, upward and on, bringing that divine light back into this place that seems so often like a place of darkness. But it's not. If we are able to bring that light through, and we do, that's what this center is about, bringing that light through. So Jesus' resurrection, he showed how we can transcend the limitation, the third dimensional earth reality, the false reality, the simulation that we think is real, but is not. You are divine light, trapped in matter, because why? You forgot who you are. Jesus came to show the way beyond this physical earth world trap. You are so much more. We know that. Many of us know it on an intellectual level, but the idea is to ground that into our spirit, into our soul. Who am I? I am one with that which is. I am one with the unlimited. Jesus was a vessel of Christ consciousness who came to show the way of liberation for souls trapped here. He came to awaken humanity to a direct spiritual experience of who you are, of who I am, of who we all really are. The Gospel of Thomas was left out of the final version of the official Bibles because it is the closest to Jesus' actual teachings, as I said. One of the things here that we find on seeking within from the Gospel of Thomas, Jesus said, if your leaders tell you, look, the kingdom is in heaven, then the birds of heaven will precede you. If they tell you it's in the sea, then the fish of the sea will precede you. Rather, the kingdom is within you and outside of you. It is all that there is. And when you know yourselves, then you will be known, and you will realize that you are the children of the living Father. And if you don't know yourselves, then you will live in poverty of spirit. So it is up to us to remember, remember, remember. Christ consciousness is a frequency, a liberating truth that cannot be hidden forever. And that which is of the lower vibration on this planet attempts in every way possible to hide it. It's said in the Bible that Satan took Jesus to the top of a mountain and said, you see all these cities out here? I will give you that control if you just bow down to me. And Jesus said, I know who I am. I am one with that divine. I am one with that divine. So the false god, the demiurge, used the church in Rome to build a rigid authority teaching that inverted Jesus' teachings. It continued the concept of blood sacrifice with the ceremony called communion, the drinking of wine and the eating of the bread. That was the blood and body of Jesus. This harkens back to the days of human sacrifice that so many religions before Jesus came to teach about a different, more conscious way to redemption, to freedom. So Christ consciousness teachings, there is no hierarchy in divinity. There is reconnection with pure light and love. Pure light and love. What happens when you're ready to die, when you're ready to leave your physical body? At the moment of what we call death, there is often confusion. And there are archons that were created, lesser entities, lesser frequency vibrations in the astral world that were created by this demigod that are just pretty low-level beings, and they thrive on fear and suffering. They thrive on fear and suffering. Sorry, this gets in the way of my seeing you in the eye. So the archons, these low-level beings, are here to show you when you start to leave this body, there's a tunnel of beautiful light. Come on. Oh, your relatives are waiting for you. No, maybe that's not. They appear as relatives or friends or even Jesus encouraging you to come down that tunnel of light, that it will lead to heaven. It's actually the tunnel leading to reincarnation and another life on earth filled with more suffering, because our suffering and the energy created by that feeds these low-level beings. Now, before we had words, to put on this, a lot of us understood that there was a low-level energy out there. We didn't know how it came to be or why it was here, but we just knew that it was here. We could feel it because we're from a different reality. These archons will tell you, you have unfinished karma, you have unfinished commitments, you need more experiences on earth. There's so much more to learn. Do come down this tunnel of light. But that light tunnel is an illusion designed to keep you on that wheel of reincarnation and delusion for an infinite amount of time. And those beings feed on human emotion brought by suffering and fear. They instigate constant wars and fighting on earth to harvest the suffering that feeds them. Oh my, are they very active now? Are there many that are willingly serving them now? Absolutely, absolutely. But we stand as beacons of light, and guess what? We're winning. The illusion is that they are winning, but there's a shift. So many more people are awakening on this planet right now. It's exciting. It's very exciting to me, because we are the ones that we have been waiting for, as the Hopi said. We are the ones that are willing to finally change this reality and to move back into full alignment with that cosmic consciousness, that divine being. Stepping off the reincarnation wheel, though, takes some preparation. It takes meditation, it takes prayer, it takes spiritual practices to remind us of who we really are. And those things are needed to ensure that you know how to respond when you see that tunnel of light and what appears to be your relatives going, come on in, come on in. The Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Egyptian Book of the Dead, the Gnostic Christian teachings all tell you, do not enter that light. Do not enter that tunnel. Oh, but what do you mean? What do you mean? It leads to heaven, right? No. Wait until a softer light becomes visible. A gentler, non-glittery light. That's the way back home to source. When you become absorbed into that soft light, or you fade back into a rainbow light, as some of the Tibetan teachings speak of. So begin preparing to go back to source, God, by understanding that you are one. We are all one with original source. That we're not of this false world, this prison planet, this simulation. We are in this world, but not of it. And we remember that. We remember that place of divine reconnection where we feel whole. And we know that what we see out there is not yet there. But we are those sparks of light, opening the way for more people to step out of this falseness. Remember that you are a sovereign being of light and love that can no longer be controlled by false negative influencers. Oh, we hear a lot about them now. False negative influencers who want to hold you here in these lower realms. Remember that you are free to return home to the real true God, free to again merge into Christ consciousness. You have, I believe all of you have one of these flyers. Okay, let's do a little call and response here. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am, I am. I am that I am. I am, I am. I am one with all of life. I am. I am unified with love. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am one with God the Father. I am. I am one with God the Father. I am. I am one with God His Mother. I am. I am one with God His Mother. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am one with the divine. I am. I am one with the divine. I am. I am one with Christ pure love. I am. I am one with Christ pure love. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. I am that I am. I am. I am. This song came to me early last year, and it has really been such a beacon of light for my soul to help me when I get into those places where I forget who I am. So I encourage you to put this up somewhere that you can see it regularly. And then, it's something that I've been working with now for some months. Before I go to sleep at night, and when I wake up in the morning, and in times in the day, Memorize and repeat regularly while feeling your frequency uplifting. This is critical, the part where you feel that you're lifting up. Because when we are ready to leave this body, we're going to be lifting out, and it can be a time of confusion, or it can be a time that we have prepared for. So this practice is a practice of being prepared to not be drawn back into another incarnation when we are ready to transition from this life. I am that I am. I am one with source light beyond the false light, that false light of the tunnel that leads to more and more and more. I am not of this world. I do not give my permission to return to this realm. No one and nothing has control over me. I am free to return home to source from where I came. And then as you learn that and you internalize all of this, it can be condensed down to I am source, sovereign, free. I am source, sovereign, free. And when we learn that, there's no bringing us back if we don't want to come back. Our son said to me when I was telling him about this last night, he said, I'm not sure I'm ready to leave this reincarnation. I said, of course not now. You still have much life left to live. But I'm asking you to look down the road, 40, 50, 60 years. He's 43, which traditionally would be called middle age. If we were given 120 years, so we're a youngster at birth to 40. At 40 to 80, we're supposed to be middle-aged, and at 80 to 120, we're supposed to be an elder. Somewhere along the way, we forgot this, but it's time to start remembering, and when we remember properly, we can step out and go home. My sense 15, 18 years ago was that I was being given the opportunity, as are many on this earth plane now, to step out and not return here, that our work is essentially done. And the more we spread this light and this love and this awareness, the more people we help step off this reincarnation wheel and go home to where we originally came from. Thank you. Was I good on time?
Yeah.